With a health update on a WWE star and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Recalling his WrestleMania 21 match against Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle said this during Steel City Con. "Oh god, this is hard for me to say some of his favorite matches. My favorite match of all time was actually against Chris Benoit at the Royal Rumble 2003. He reminded me of me. He had the same intensity. He had the same build, same athleticism. And when we got together, it was a war, really intense matches. But the other matches that I really enjoyed, one was when it was supposed to be a WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon didn't want to do it because this guy had an undefeated streak, and he didn't want me to break it, and it was Undertaker No Way Out 2006. I had a really good match with him. That was really special, and especially saying that about a big guy, Undertaker was a 300-pounder, 7 foot tall, and to have a match like that with a guy that big is pretty incredible, and that just tells you how good Undertaker was. But the other match, one of my favorites, was Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. I really believe, in my mind, it was the greatest match of all time. Shawn and I just clicked, and the crazy thing is, we never worked before that. We never had a match together, and during the week, we were supposed to get in the ring and practice moves and stuff. We didn't do any of that. We never even tied up. And to have that kind of chemistry with Shawn, that shows how good Shawn was. I mean, everybody considers him the greatest superstar of all time, and I believe he is. He's that good because he's never had a bad match. He's had an incredible match with everybody, and that just shows you how good he is. In a social media post, former WWE star Dana Brooke would be asked about returning to the promotion, to which she said, "I'm super excited to explore other options and control my destiny." On screen in WWE, R-Truth has been attempting to join the Judgment Day as Rhea Ripley was asked about his status in the faction, as she said this during WWE's 2024 preview special. "I've had it up to here with R-Truth. He's not in the Judgment Day. We're not looking at Truth right now, and he's trying to weasel his way in. He's breaking into our clubhouse, and that's not okay. You just can't sneak into our clubhouse. He's putting himself into all the things we are working so hard for." Coming out to the Judgment Day music, to me, he thinks he's a part of it, but we have never signed off on that. We have not discussed this. We have not come to agreement that R-Truth is in the Judgment Day. So far, he is not. Explaining the situation with Kevin Dunn departing WWE at the end of last month, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that it was Dunn's decision to leave, which one source said dated back about 2 months, when Endeavor started wanting to make budget cuts to improve profitability in the department and started making decisions on the production side without relying on his opinions. As far as a replacement as executive producer of all the shows goes, I was told not to presume anything, and multiple people in the company even mentioned Mike Manzuri, who at one point was groomed to replace Dunn until he quit the company, as someone Levesque would want. I would presume Manzuri is under a long-term deal with AEW. Marty Miller's name was mentioned. He's the director, but that's something completely different, and in particular, the aspect of Dunn's job dealing with budgets. At one point, the attempt was to make Chris Kaiser the executive producer who would handle the budgets, and Dunn is the guy handling the shows and making the final decisions. It could end up with Miller running the truck and Kaiser handling the budgets, but that's all speculation at this point. Ringside News added that the talk of Kevin Dunn's WWE exit is still a big discussion point. It is also expected that others may depart after Kevin Dunn because he was a longtime favorite of Vince McMahon's. PW Insider reported a very interesting rumor killer that floated onto their radar. It was noted that there has been an assumption that Kevin Dunn was retiring entirely. That is apparently not the case. According to the outlet, while Kevin Dunn is voluntarily leaving WWE, he is not intending to retire from work altogether. Instead, he is exploring potential film and television projects for the future. It is unlikely that he will work for other wrestling companies. Interestingly, despite receiving praise upon his departure, there is a growing belief that Dunn left because he felt disrespected and was considered a Vince McMahon guy, as one source mentioned. As noted earlier, Kevin Dunn was unwilling to let others dictate how he managed the TV production side after 4 decades of being in charge, and Endeavor was evidently seeking cost-cutting measures. Previously, it was noted by the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Trinity Fatu, formerly known as Naomi, is expected to be making her WWE comeback. As PW Insider noted, WWE sources have confirmed Trinity is expected to return to the company when she is done with TNA/Impact Wrestling commitments. One source believes she could be back as soon as the end of January. Fightful.com first reported there was an expectation of a return to WWE. I believe she is booked for TNA's Hard to Kill pay-per-view and at least 2 TV tapings this month. In attendance for the recent Wrestle Kingdom event put on by New Japan Pro Wrestling, former WWE star Dolph Ziggler would get into a brawl with the new IWGP Global Champion David Finlay. As Ziggler said this about it during an interview with NJPW. "I don't even work here. I was enjoying the show. I haven't been to Japan in a really long time and I just wanted to see this big show, this beautiful show, and see what it was like. I lost my cool and I completely apologized to the fans, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Finlay spit in my face and shoved me, and again, I'm a grown-up and I should have turned my cheek and walked away. Those 3 athletes beat the hell out of each other and put on a display, and I was very proud to be a fan and just enjoy that moment, and Finlay took that away from me and all the fans, and I felt like someone had to do something." Ospreay and Moxley laid it all out there for that title just to show what that global championship means, and I thought it was a spit in the face to the fans. Technically, I don't work here. I'm an observer on the outside. He's attacking a fan. I feel like I'm standing up for the fans and say, hey, if you're going to take the cheap shot, someone's going to knock you on your ass. And again, I am sorry. I'm sorry. I was out of line, and if there's anything I could do, I completely understand. I lost my cool because I felt that everything that was laid out there in that match was something special. It took me back to a time when I was a kid, and you just know what these wrestlers go through on a day-to-day basis, and have a chance on a giant stage to prove that you are this brand new title holder. That title deserves better, and that's all I should say. I think I apologize to the fans in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's a beautiful show. I'm so sorry. I lost my cool. I apologize. Going over what could be next for Samoa Joe as the AEW World Champion, Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. "It looks like Joe and Swerve in the main event for Revolution, if not sooner. All they talked about was Swerve going for the championship. March is 2 months away. They got plenty of time. Joe, that's the only one they built up for Joe. I mean, I guess they could do Joe and Wardlow. Anyways, I think Swerve is going to be in that title program mix. It's going to take time for Swerve to be a ratings draw." Touching on what is to come for MJF following his loss of the AEW World title and being removed from the online roster page, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that they are also doing a storyline that MJF is now a free agent. MJF was not advertised for Wembley and was pulled from the roster on the website to play up the idea his contract expired at the end of the year. Most believe he had signed a new long-term deal in 2022, although he always denied it. One would think it would be crazy to have MJF as champion for almost the entire year of 2023 if his contract ended at the end of the year, but Tony Khan put the idea on Jon Moxley, who was working without a contract, although Moxley at the time was pretty much sure he wasn't going to WWE, and they had an understanding he was staying, and they were finalizing the new deal. A health update would also be provided for the former AEW World Champion, with Dave Meltzer saying this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. "MJF worked the match in great pain with his torn labrum as well as hip injury from the crazy elbow drop off the top rope to the floor in the Jay White match at Full Gear. The shoulder injury is the most serious. He's hoping to have it heal through rehab rather than surgery, because surgery would put him out for months, and he was told perhaps close to a year, which he wants to avoid. But long term, he's young, and getting this fixed long term could be a lot better than it constantly being a problem for the rest of his career. As of now, he and doctors will determine what direction he tries." When it comes to a potential return to WWE for Mercedes Mone, who is a free agent in pro wrestling, PW Insider reported that WWE sources noted that several factors, including change in ownership and the Paul Levesque creative regime firmly in place, set the stage for the two sides to reset their relationship and for Varnado to potentially return. "We are told the company would absolutely love to have her back and have made that clear, and that at least early discussions between the sides have happened. One WWE source felt confident about her eventual return return as Sasha Banks, but caution that until a deal is signed, nothing is ever official. Before anyone asks, we have not heard anything since in regard to her in AEW or New Japan, but one would think that AEW would want to swoop in and make a big offer to add some oomph to their first 2024 quarter. Staying on the topic of Monet, this was said regarding a debut for AEW as PW Insider added. Monet update: since the initial post, an AEW source reached out to say the company has absolutely been in contact with Monet and said, if you don't think we are in the hunt, you are crazy. The Wrestling Observer newsletter added that the other rumor was that Mercedes Mone would be starting with AEW shortly. The only thing we heard is that she was in talks with WWE and they were far apart on money. Some in WWE speculated that this could be a Punk situation where everyone denies it to lead to a Rumble surprise. Mone was talked about by others in WWE as Khan's counterpunch for losing Andrade. Khan did say he would be very active in the free agent market in 2024. It appears that John Cena's newest film, Freelance, is in an interesting position, as Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Cena's new movie, Freelance, was destroyed by critics but didn't do as badly with moviegoers. It got 7% positive reviews in Rotten Tomatoes, 2 positive, 28 negative, which would make it one of the worst rated movies by critics in years. However, it got 77% positive score by moviegoers. It is extremely rare to see that level of discrepancy in movies. Speaking about the issues that Seth Rollins has with him, CM Punk said this during WWE's 2024 preview special. What Seth honestly feels about me is none of my business. That's how I approach it. Maybe he's jealous, maybe he's envious. It's not for me to decide and figure out. Luckily, there is a ring. A lot of times when you have differences with somebody, you get to settle it in the ring. The Rumble is my immediate future. If Seth is still the champion when the dust clears, maybe we can talk about it then and settle it in the ring. For that same interview, CM Punk took credit for the success Seth Rollins has had in WWE, saying, I'm in a position where I feel strange vocalizing it, but Seth is a guy, at least I felt 10 years ago, that he's a dude that I don't think he would have gotten the opportunities he's gotten if it wasn't for me, you know? That might hurt some people's feelings, but facts are facts. They don't care about your feelings. On TikTok, Reby Hardy posted a video of her husband, Matt Hardy, holding all of their children. The voiceover in the clip can be heard saying, you know what, this year is going to be my year. I can feel it. I can just feel it. Then in the video, Reby can be seen sitting alone in a chair on New Year's with a caption that says, not my year. The description of the video reads, oh, House Hardy, new year, new me, trauma, depression, heartbreak, drama, Reby Hardy. Then there were many comments on the video with Reby responding as they read, going through separation after 10 years of marriage and 2 kids. I hope you have a wonderful 2024, even if it looks different than you imagined. She replied, thank you. From an outsider, you looked like you rocked 2023, but I understand. I hope this year will be even better year. She replied professionally, yes, thank you. Someone else said same. Due to the alcohol, not me, I'm pregnant, but significant other doesn't know when to stop. Reby replied, felt. I'm so sorry. Asked if she wanted to see a return of her waiting room segments in AEW, Britt Baker told DS Shin on Ring the Bell, that was fun. That would be. The thing with the waiting room is what people don't realize is how much time it took to set up. It was during Daly's place during the pandemic, and they have this whole set, which was amazing. Our crew is fantastic, and they did this. It felt like overnight, this whole dental office set. To actually put it up, and we were able to set it up on the ground and away from the ring, there would need to be some sort of logistics of how you could set that up and take it down in the middle of a wrestling ring. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure it can be done. If it can't be done, the AEW crew would figure out a way. It just takes a lot of time. You have to have time. I guess I have to convince Tony Khan that I'm worth that much time again. Giving the perspective of AEW employees on Andrade El Idolo leaving the company, Jim Ross said on his Grilling JR podcast, "We haven't seen a ceiling yet, in my opinion. The guy's really good, and losing him is unfortunate for AEW because he always gave quality work, a very skilled guy." If I was guessing, and that's something we're doing here because I don't have any clue as to what his future holds, I'd say it's WWE. They're always looking for quality talents. Andrade is a quality talent and certainly has earned his opportunities to move up the cards, whatever company he's working with. He's a main event skill set guy no matter what. But if I were a betting man, I would certainly lead towards Andrade to be a WWE guy sooner than later. They're doing a lot of nice things with their Latin athletes. He fits the bill there very well. I'm a fan of his work, and I'm sorry to see him leave, but he fulfilled all his obligations and did a hell of a job for us. He's a keeper, no doubt about it. So I'm thinking of WWE like they have been. That's a layup, I think. It's just really good in that regard. So we'll see how it works out. Quality talent always rise to the top. If you're good enough, you're going to get noticed in the right way, and I think Andrade used AEW to get noticed and to continue to develop his work. So I'm happy for him and Charlotte. Maybe they're going to be able to spend some additional time together because of her injury. So good for him. He's a good guy. He's a classy guy, good worker, and I'm glad that he was here for a while. He helped the company, and that's what you're looking for. Revealing that her building caught fire, AEW star Mariah May wrote on X, "Sad news, the building I live in had a fire. Good news, everyone is okay and the firefighters are sexy. And I made friends with some animals I carried out. A win is a win." During Jim Cornette's drive-through podcast, co-host Brian Last said this regarding a tale he heard about Chris Jericho, noting that, "Man, there is a story I would love to tell, but I didn't get permission. But him getting knocked out on his own cruise ship by someone he mouthed off to. It's the most incredible story, but I can't talk about that today." Going over New Japan star Giulia, who is reportedly receiving interest from WWE. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, WWE sources heard that Giulia appeared to not be thrilled that word of WWE interest had been leaked, as she was nowhere near being able to sign with the company. We've also heard that as of the end of 2023, Giulia didn't appear to want a representative for contract talks as of yet, and was handling the process herself so far. That could always change as the situation progresses. Ringside News added, "It was also reported that there were rumors that AEW had no interest in her in the past, but Fightful heard her name brought up in conversations this past spring as it pertained to possible Stardom talent that could appear in the company in some capacity. Obviously, that never happened for her." Sources from both AEW and WWE reportedly mentioned that if Giulia decides to make a move to the United States, she would likely collaborate extensively with producers and coaches for the transition. Giulia was perceived as a potential priority acquisition. Within WWE, the prevalent expectation is that she would join NXT and the Performance Center, unless she had already prepared for aspects necessary for the main roster. They have resources available to assist with this if she were to make a direct transition. As far as Giulia's English goes, she may act like she doesn't speak it while she's in Japan, but that may not be the case. It was further reported that a source said Giulia's English is better than the comprehension we've seen out of many native speakers. Taking to Instagram, Charlotte Flair gave an update on her health as she wrote, "Family, friends, and fans, thank you for all the positive, beautiful messages and flowers. I feel supported in every way. It has taken me a few days and many, many tears to wrap my head around everything. I happen to be an expert in overthinking, and this is the first time I've ever been truly scared. Scared of the unknown, but also feeling like I'm losing what I'm most proud of, and that's being an athlete. I don't like showing physical weakness, and this is has left me feeling exposed, a process I know I will grow from, but a very new one to me. This was a huge blow to me mentally and obviously physically going into 2024. 2023 was a roller coaster, and I'm trying to stay positive, and maybe this was the only way to stop, refocus, rebuild, and eventually conquer again. I can't thank this year's SmackDown locker room enough. I enjoyed every second and will be rooting from the sidelines. I've been a bad guy for most of my career, but this year was different for me. I cherished every hug, high five, and fist pump this year at live events, and for the first time in my career felt comfortable in my own boots being the good guy. I learned so much as a performer and planned on starting right where I left off. I promise I'm going to work 24/7 over the next 9 months to come back the best version of the Queen you've ever seen. Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed. Climbing my own mountain will be my greatest test yet. Thank you for all the love. Here's to 2024. Love, Ashley, aka Charlotte. Charlotte also posted this video to X.
All parties ready. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Here we go. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're going.
Go.
68,
Go, go,
70, 70, 73, 73, 75. That was a good year.
go.
75. Good job.
And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.